How is it going, Databite? Says No Date here, and welcome back to another video of Roblox Assassin. Got some gameplay for you guys right there on the screen, and I'm still saving up for the upcoming spring event. If you haven't watched any previous videos, just so you guys know, there is a spring event coming very soon. The bundle already came out, but there's actually going to be an event, so I'm currently saving up tokens, and I'm, working on that. Probably not going to be much. It's probably only going to, give me an elite case and a sturdy case, hopefully the upcoming exotic is also in the sturdy case. But at any rate, if you guys want to unbox that new exotic, you should definitely start saving up your tokens because it will definitely help quite a bit. But anyway, we have talked about the big mythic update that added Dark Horse, Rainbow Seer, Friezendo, and Spider and all that stuff. And now we're going to be talking about the other 4 mythics that were added, the elementals. So yeah, guys, if you like the elementals, be sure to leave a like on this video, and we're going to be talking about those and what went on during that update and what I was personally going through. And Windows can't install updates, apparently. That stinks. I don't feel like fixing that right now because that would involve resetting, and I don't want to reset while I am doing recordings. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to get into this. Now, before we talk about the elemental mythics that we all know and love today, we're first going to talk about the elemental exotics. Believe it or not, there were actually elementals that were exotics and not mythics, and it happened a very, very long time ago, so I'm going to give you guys a little history lesson. So a long time ago, probably about a year and a half ago, I was playing Twisted Murderer, and I was suffering. But while I was suffering, what I wasn't playing was Assassin. And during this time, when I wasn't playing, there were actually these elemental exotics, right? They were pretty new, they were pretty hyped, and they were pretty basic, honestly. The looks for them were very basic, and, there were exotics because mythics did not exist back then, so exotics were the highest tier knives, and they were called water, earth, fire, and air. Alright, those were the 4 elementals that we all know and love now, except air is wind, but I'll get into that in a little bit. So yeah, what would happen is, this was old Assassins, so the maps were not that good, and you could unbox a bunch of stuff like Flame Ace, Electrosaw, Bat Scythe. Apparently it was called Dark Scythe back then, which I just discovered that. I just learned that while I was researching this time, and apparently Bat Scythe was called Dark Scythe, which, interesting name for the Bat Scythe. I didn't know different exotics had names. Maybe Electrosaw was electric chainsaw or something like that. But yeah, guys, so there were 4 elemental exotics, and they were actually in their own special case. Alright, so there was the basic case, there was the deluxe case, there was the supreme case. Yeah, they all had different names except for the elite case. Alright, so there was basic, deluxe, supreme, and the good old elite case that we still know. But there was actually another case that was more expensive than the elite case, which is pretty shocking because the elite case has always been the most expensive case, right? Wrong. Well, it was the most expensive, but then they added a brand new case called the Mega Case. And basically what this was you open the Mega Case, right? 100% chance exotic, alright? So you would get water, earth, fire, or air, one of the elementals, and you would also get Possessed Axe, not Corrupted Axe, Possessed Axe. Could you unbox Corrupted Axe at the time? I'm not quite sure. Again, I didn't really play back then. If I did play back then, I would give you guys all the details. But yeah, that was going on. It was the Mega Case. I'm pretty sure before Possessed Axe, it was actually the Elemental Case, but I really couldn't find anything showing that. So yeah, it was pretty fun and dandy. You could open a Mega Case and you could get an Elemental or a Possessed Axe from it, and it was pretty lit because you had these 4 elementals, and again, they looked very, very basic. In fact, they were actually just knife skins. Most exotics or exotics and beyond, they're usually not the typical knife skin, like the basic knife. In Assassin, there's just the basic knife, and then commons, rares, and legendaries are usually just reskins of that basic knife, right? So that's cool. And then usually exotics and beyond are not the basic knives, they're actually their own special design. So Flame Mace was a mace, and Possessed Axe was an axe, obviously, it wasn't the typical reskin. But the elementals, they were actually reskins of the basic knife. So it was pretty interesting to see an exotic that just looks like a regular knife, kind of like the dream knives now. So, you know, it's kind of going full circle when you think about it. So yeah, that was pretty cool. We all had a bunch of elementals, elemental exotics, and then what happened to them? They were gone. I don't know. Nobody knows why, but Prisman removed the old elemental exotics. And if you had an elemental exotic, it would actually be replaced with a corrupted axe. So that was pretty interesting. I don't know if that's the only origin of corrupted axe. It wasn't actually, because there's actually a video I saw where somebody traded corrupted axe for 3 elementals. So pretty good deal for that guy. But yeah, corrupted axe was unboxable, and then when the elemental exotics were removed, you would get a corrupt axe in return, a corrupted axe. So yeah, that's kind of what happened to them. Nobody really knew why those elementals went away, but you would get a corrupted axe in return. So, you know, if you worked to get an elemental, you wouldn't lose much, because now you would have one of the rarest knives in the freaking game. So that's pretty cool. So then those knives were always known as those like forbidden knives that you can't get because they're literally gone. And then case 4 happened, believe it or not. I'm going to talk about this before the mythics came, but case 4 happened. Or case 4 is, it's still interesting, water elemental, like the water elemental exotic is actually now a common, believe it or not. Water. So, alright, you open case 4, right? You get water from it. Just remember, that water that you have in your inventory, that was once an exotic. Alright, just remember that. It's now a common, and it's pretty worthless. But that same exact design, that same exact knife called water, it was once an exotic. So, fun fact, if you have water in your inventory, you have one of the 4, you know, forbidden knives. And then the elemental mythics just one day out of the blue suddenly came into play. I think this might have happened around May, but I'm not quite sure about that. So the elementals came in like this huge update with a couple of other exotics, right? So in this update, case 5 was added, so Emerald Knight was a new exotic. Earthen Blade could be crafted with 6 legendaries, and the elementals were added. So the first thing that I noticed was the new case. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I checked the elite case, and there was this cool new golden knife, and I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking cool. But it's probably not going to be worth much, alright? It's you know, it's the same thing as Spider, right? So then you check the crafting recipes, like, okay, are there any crafting recipes? And, you know, the thing is, when new knives get added to Assassin, they generally take a while to load. Just like the pictures, they always take a couple of hours to load, or like a day or so to load. So we actually, when you looked at the crafting recipe for the elementals, you could only see, you couldn't see Earthen Blade, and you couldn't see Earth Elemental. So it looked pretty weird, like we didn't really know how to craft it. But what it looked like was it showed the Fire Elemental crafting recipe perfectly. So Fire Elemental, water and wind. So that was pretty, you know, that was pretty self-explanatory. But we didn't know how to get water. But when it showed the water crafting recipe, it showed it only showed wind elemental. So it showed water equals wind. So initially what we thought was, oh, you could take wind elemental and make water out of it, and then you would put the two together and make fire. So therefore it would take 2 winds to make a fire, which seemed pretty insane. And you know, at the time when looking at the crafting recipes, we didn't really see Earthen Blade, because again, Earthen Blade was something you could only craft like with 6 legendaries. So we didn't really know it existed yet. We couldn't see it in the cases, so you wouldn't know that it was around unless you crafted. So when we saw Earthen Blade, it kind of came out of nowhere, and everybody was kind of freaking out about it because nobody knew where it was coming from, and those who did have it wanted it for a very high price, like Skeleton King. Like literally somebody offered me an Earthen Blade for Skeleton King, and you know, those who had Earthen Blade, like they literally did not tell anybody where it came from. Why? Because they want to make profit off of it. They want to, you know, it's a super cool new knife, you don't know where it's from, you want to trade a lot for it. Now, luckily I was smart about it, alright? I didn't trade the Skeleton King because I decided that if I didn't know where a knife came from, that I'm really not going to trade for it, because if I don't know where it came from, then I don't really know the value for it or anything. So, you know, then we ended up learning about how to craft earthen blade, and it was pretty insane at first. You know, everybody was trying to get the earthen blade. Basically, what I did personally was, I would craft an exotic, and if I didn't get that exotic, if I didn't get earthen blade, I would trade it for 4 legendaries, and then try to get 2 legendaries myself, and try again, because I really want to get earthen blade to get the fire elemental, because the fire elemental, when I found out how to make it, it was pretty insane. I really wanted fire elemental because it looked super cool, so that was really my goal, except I knew I wouldn't really prevail that well because of my horrible luck. If you guys are no doubt aware, I have horrible luck in Assassin. We all know that now. To this day, I have yet to unbox an elemental. I unboxed a spider once, but that was only one time. After months and months of opening one elite case every day, I finally unboxed a spider. But I have yet to unbox an elemental. And, you know, I knew it was difficult just because of the luck factor. And that's the one thing I didn't like about the elementals, was the luck factor, you know. When there is a new crafting recipe, I want it to be a challenge, not really in terms of luck, but in terms of, like, how hard it is to craft. So, like, when Dreamwalker came out, you know, I liked that. I liked when Dreamwalker came out because it took 3 mythics, technically 9 mythics when you think about it. So it was a bunch of mythics, and I found that to be really challenging. And it didn't involve much luck because I already had mythics. And when there's luck involved, you know, think about it. You had to unbox 3 wind elementals. You know, you have like a 1.5% chance of unboxing a mythic. Divide that by 2, that's a 0.75% chance of unboxing 1 wind elemental. So what are the chances that you're going to unbox 3 and craft a fire elemental? You know, it's pretty low chances. You know, trading not involved, obviously. So, you know, that's why I find it really hard to craft a fire elemental, because if you don't trade, you have to have insane luck to, you know, ever dream of, you know, to have the chance of crafting a fire elemental, you know. So, you know, I kept trying to unbox elementals, but with no prevail. I did end up getting earthen blade, which felt you know, it was a pretty good step in the right direction. And then I ended up trading for earth elemental. And then what did I do? I traded earth elemental and some other things for fire elemental, and I don't remember what they are. I think some unobtainable stuff, but it probably wasn't that bad in the long run because I did get fire elemental. And then I think I traded that for Skeleton King. I traded the fire elemental for Skeleton King and some other stuff, but I don't quite remember. You know, it's all in the past now. You know, I don't really remember a lot of trades I do. I just remember that, like, they were good trades because I trust my past self. Unless it's like when the first mythic update happened, and we all know what happened then. But, like, you know, I make good trades now. So when I look back on it, it's just, you know, I made relatively good trades. Maybe some trades would be bad now, but it is what it is. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. There's really not much to say about this elemental updates because, you know, I talked about the past elementals and I talked about the present elementals, and that's kind of where we're at now. And now I have a bunch of elementals. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little assassin story. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and those other things that YouTube people do. If you want to talk about any other updates, let me know in the comments. Maybe in the next video we'll talk about Ice Ancients in January 2017. That would be pretty freaking interesting. But I will see you guys in the next video. Toodles.